Now with the Nubia Z60 Ultra, that was my first introduction to their phone brand, and honestly I was quite impressed by it. But what does the new leading version does for it? Let's find out in what I said where I think the Nubia Z60 Ultra would perform really well. Urban photography. And for those who are wondering, yes, I'm taking the Nubia Z60S Pro with me as well, which is really beautiful in this color by the way. And we're gonna find out how both of them perform, but that's gonna be a separate video for the Nubia Z60S Pro. Of course, these are my first impressions, and we're gonna find out long-term use as well. Either way, let's drive to a location in Germany and find out how this Nubia Z60 Ultra leading version will do in urban photography. So we're here. Let's find out how this Nubia Z60 Ultra leading version would do when it comes to urban photography. The same precision what I can do is use this as depth of field and I focus on that point right there and create a really nice shot. Now what makes this especially so good is I feel like when it comes to Nubia, the 35mm equivalent is nice, but also the way it approaches the photography. That's why I say I feel like here does really well for this kind of urban photography. Here what we have is like some cool objects, right? Look at these stairs that I can use, some stuff above me, and this is connected to where I'm standing right now. So these two poles, even though they're separate, I can create like a symmetry to the shot itself. These scenes are a little bit hard to film, but I'm gonna focus on that pipe, use 35, 50 and 85mm and play around with that focal length to get that really nice focus, probably a little bit of blur, but of course we are dealing with a phone, so it won't be the same as a proper camera, but let's see what we can get. I like that. Here we get this dark contrast right here on the side, and then we get something here that gives again that contrast feel. Really love this, so we're gonna create a shot out of that. This is a beautiful shot. So you get these bricks in between. Now it's a bit hard, but turn down the brightness a little bit. I will do that in the shot afterwards, but I just showed the composition at the moment. So I would use that brick that you have on this corner, like this one. Use that a little bit as depth, as well as this part right here. Just a little bit of the water, and then take a shot. About that twin track. Well, it's not a twin track, but this thing that carries everything up, you can see like the wheels, everything like that. I'm gonna try to take a shot with that as well. This is probably gonna be 50mm or 85mm equivalent.
with my main camera it's gonna work much better, but I'm gonna try of course with this Nubia and see how it comes out. Here, see that crane right there? I would focus on that. Use 50mm. Zoom in a little bit more. Of course, I'm going to adjust the brightness a little bit afterwards, just showing you how I will do the composition. This is to show the composition, but I want to focus on that, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. I'll get a shot like this. And then also probably a full one, such. But then make it darker, because that just adds to the feel of it. This looks really cool. So I have some pipes here that I can use and create like a line that it follows right there. And I focus on that so this becomes a blur. And I make it a little bit dark, like the light is really affecting the pipes and everything around it more. So I just turn the brightness down a little bit on the phone itself, if that makes sense.
Now, just like the Nubia Z60 Ultra here with the leading version, a general tip that I have is turn down the brightness a little bit. Like I said, on the Nubia Z60 Ultra I noticed it's a bit too bright, and the same counts for the Nubia leading version. In this case, it just allows the image to have a little bit more contrast, looks more like a photography shot, and allows a bit more dramatic feel as well in some cases. And of course I will showcase some edited shots as well to make it a bit more dramatic.
I will say it's challenging urban photography because it's normally I go for a more clean look with focus point of one thing. Urban photography, especially around this area, is very different, but it's a nice challenge. So I'm enjoying it.
Now, what makes this phone a phone that I really wanted to test is the endless possibilities. You have a 50 megapixel main sensor with an f-stop of 1.6, a 1/156 inch sensor size, a 64 megapixel periscope with an f-stop of 3.3 and a 1/2 inch sensor size. And then we have an ultra wide, yet again a 50 megapixel sensor with an f-stop of 1.8 and again a large sensor for an ultra wide with a 1/155 inch sensor size. You can record up to 8K and 30 frames per second, but it also allows 4K and 120 frames per second. I hear you think, well, many phones these days can do that. But can all sensors do that? Because on this Nubia with all focal lengths you can record up to 4K and 120 frames per second. You also have Pro mode for photography, but also for video, allowing you to play around with the shutter speed, white balance, ISO and so much more. But you can also lock those aspects as well quite easily. And yes, you can also have manual focus with focus peaking on top of that. And then you have a 6000 mAh battery inside with fast charging up to 80 watt. and this makes it a phone that I really wanted to test. But of course, it does take a little bit of time. So at the end, I am still impressed, and I think yes, urban photography is really good on the Nubia Z60 Ultra Leading version in this case. The main sensor being a 35mm equivalent definitely allows for things to feel more compressed, if that makes sense. Because of course, when you use a wide angle, everything stretches out more compared to something that is, for instance, 35mm. So there I really think it excels at those kinds of situations, where it can even beat the Xiaomi 14 Ultra in those situations, allowing a bit more feel in the shot for that urban photography. That being said, is it perfect? No, definitely not. There are some things that I noticed while shooting with it so far. For one, sharpening is a tad too much when it comes to the shots itself, so still photography here. And a little bit dynamic range can be a hit and miss. It depends on the situation, but that needs a little bit of work. Now when it comes to video, however, I will say there it definitely is quite a bit too sharp. In photography it's a little bit, but in video it's quite a bit up there when it comes to sharpening. Apart from that, shooting experience has been excellent. Having those 3 different focal lengths, but also play around with it in 35 and 50mm and then 85 and 170mm is definitely something that I enjoy doing. And I think there it really does well. Quality is excellent. There are some things though, like I said, that needs work. And I'm gonna find out how I find this phone in long-term use. I'm gonna review it with a longer term of use, but also different situations, different scenarios, so I can showcase it to you in those situations. Either way, let me know what you think about the result that I got out of the Nubia Z60 Ultra Leading version. And of course, stay tuned. I'm gonna make a separate video for the Nubia Z60 Pro and showcase that one as well, because simply put, when it comes to the main camera, it's the same one, and that could be really interesting. Either way, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment below and everything, and talk to you guys in the next